as one people. And I believe that Kamala Harris would have done that. This thing is divisive, cruel, and evil, insane, narcissistic, and he's a sociopath. But honey, we are the people. And we're not going to allow this dictatorship. I told everybody you can be scared, but we must be unafraid. Now, how do you fight? You go to your city council meetings. You go to your zoning meetings. And you'll know who's raising your rent. Educate yourself.
All right, quick pause. When she says stuff like go to your city council meeting and you figure out who's raising your rent, do you want to take a wild guess who's raising the rent and taxes in Chicago? Like, and I know we pick on Chicago a lot, but Chicago is a microcosm of you know, how the Black community operates, or when you have Black leadership. But just, this is insane. They're about to have their mayor, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Adams. Yes, yeah, Brandon Adams. He campaigned on not raising your taxes. And what is he doing year 2 into the job? He just finished year 1. So year 2 in the job, he is trying to raise property taxes to take care of
They shut that down though. They shut it down.
I know, but he's trying to push it back through though. And so they're trying, and the part of the reason they're raising it is to help pay for the immigrants that they have in the city, that they decide to be a sanctuary city. So when she says you need to get out there and vote, yes, you're out. You need to be out there voting. The local elections matter the most. You need to be out there and telling your local leaders, your councilmen, your aldermen, hey, I don't want you operating like this. I don't want our tax dollars going here. We need to vote you suckers out. This is the people doing the most damage are the people that look like her.
I agree with that. And she was wrong in everything that she just said. Some women are so good at inspiring fear as opposed to hope.
Yeah,
she was so wrong. So let's talk about some of the things she was wrong about.
But real quick though, that is an absolute bar though, because whenever I see these videos go viral, typically it's a Black woman who is just going a whole nother level about when she said the dictatorship. The only people that want to have a dictatorship are the Democrats, but when it comes to like delivering these type of messages, the best motivators when you deliver these messages, they tend to be Black women. I almost think that's kind of on purpose though, because the white liberals do not want to get their hands dirty. So they send in a pretty much a what do you call it? A mercenary to kind of deliver that message. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right, because I think the Democrats have been using Black women to do their dirty work when it comes to like talking about Trump. And I know there have been some white liberals talking about Trump, but for the most part, I tend to see Black women go viral, or at least they're good for the clips to go viral in this type of stuff.
She was still wrong about a lot of stuff, man. And I'm tired of this fear stuff. Let's talk about the dictator thing first. We're already seeing that Trump got Republican pushback for Matt Gaetz to the point where he had to withdraw. Yep. So even within his own party, he doesn't have full control. That's number one. Number two,
and they're moving on to Tulsi Gabbard too.
Yeah, they're going to start digging into her too, because they don't want to see her in there. So this ain't going to be no cakewalk for him like people think it is.
Facts.
Number two, you can't use the U.S. military on domestic soil. It's in the Constitution. If it ever gets that bad, there are contingencies in place, but it's not the U.S. military attacking American citizens.
Right.
That's number two.
Citizens is the key word there. Citizens.
Right. Number three, there's checks and balances in our system. Most people can't even pass the basic civics test, but we know the 3 branches of government, and we know about the checks and balances involved in said branches of government. And we're already seeing it come into play, that they're checking each other and holding each other accountable.
Yep.
He's got 2 years to have the most friendliest Congress he's ever had. If he fails, and I would tell you right now, Mexico has already said, Trump, let's meet and talk about these tariffs you want to place. He just met with Justin Trudeau, and they had a productive conversation about the northern border wall. So again, I ask you, what has, well, not you, but Miss Jenifer Lewis, who seems to be intent on inspiring fear and confusion amongst us, as if we already don't have enough of that. What has he done or said so far that has got you so scared that the world is coming to an end? Because I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're seeing. I'd be more concerned with the fact that she's presenting this like this isn't our fault. This is everyone's fault. Well, ma'am, it's y'all against the rest of the country right now because Kamala was beaten so badly that the whole entire country almost came together and said, no, we don't want this. We don't want her. We talked in the previous episode. He almost flipped New York red.
Mm-hmm.
And her home state of California was only 60-40. What other proof do you need that this was a bad candidate? And the only reason why you're rocking with her is because she's a woman. Notice I didn't say black woman. She's a woman, and you're a black woman. The jury's still out to me on if Kamala is black or not. I'm sorry. You have to do better than she went to an HBCU and she joined a black sorority. I'm going to need more substantiation to that. But ultimately, it don't matter because it doesn't take away from the fact that she wasn't a good candidate. She was never a good candidate. She just wasn't. Jenifer Lewis is just, she's just causing confusion. And I don't know if you want to play any more in the video.
Oh, we got more.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna hold my comments then.
Because you're losing your rights, and I'm talking to the Gen Zs and the millennials now. You ain't gonna have no pension if you don't fight. You ain't gonna have Social Security or health care if you don't fight. So learn how to fight. Listen to smart people. Listen to Steve. Listen to Stacey A.
All right. You know what?
People. Listen to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and Maxine Waters. Listen to them. Listen to who knows.
Pause it for a minute. She said, okay, first of all, she said that you're losing your bodily rights. I live in Arizona right now. Trump has already said, this is the 1 millionth time I'm saying this, but I'm getting annoyed with it at this point. I got rid of Roe versus Wade because I wanted the states to decide. Arizona put Trump in office, but Arizona also decided to add deletion to their state constitution to make it a fundamental right. And Trump was asked about that, and he said, look, I did what I said I would do. I put it on the states. That's what Arizona decided. It's over. It's done, period. So that's number one. Number two, no pension. Let's talk about that for a minute. Most of these cities in this country.
Hold on, real quick, just to throw a quick, one more piece of news in there, or at least help strengthen that argument. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she actually wanted the same thing as well too. So for all those feminists and liberals that come out there, Ruth Bader Ginsburg said this ruling on Roe versus Wade. It was not sound. I forget the exact argument she made, but she said it was not sound, and she wanted to have it kicked back to the states, or you bring a case up here that's actually a little bit more because it was more the Roe versus Wade was about privacy, and it turned into this whole thing where abortion is just legal everywhere. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg was not for that. She just wanted it to get kicked back to the state, but people always conveniently leave that out about her. So, she's not the queen, the queen liberal that people think she is, or at least, I mean, I'm okay if she thinks that way, but a lot of people leave that out and they try to make it seem like, oh, Trump said this. Ruth said the same thing too.
Yeah. My other point I was going to make was what she was saying about pensions going away. Let me tell you why I'm fine with that. The biggest expense item in most of these cities are government pensions. Now, I know this is a sensitive subject for some because that includes police and fire pensions.
Teachers too.
Teachers as well, but the rest of us have to deal with 401ks or 401(b)(3)s or something equivalent to that. That is not the same thing as a pension. What that essentially is how much I put into it. Now, if you work for a great company, they'll match you up to a certain degree, but essentially you're responsible for it. So it's not a burden on the taxpayer. These government pensions are what's causing a lot of these cities to go broke. Even the non-sanctuary cities are being held hostage by large pensions. I cannot tell you how many people I know who worked in some form of government. They stuck around long enough just to get their pension and they left because they knew they'd be set for the rest of their life. So they're just sitting there semi retired in their 40s or 50s, I might add, and
Yeah.
just collecting government pensions for and just putting these burdens on taxpayers. This is why the Doge exists, so they can come in and look at some of these efficiencies at the federal level, but
Mhm.
it's probably time to trickle some of that down to the state and local level too, man. Like, I think pensions should go away entirely and should be replaced with 401ks or something equivalent because you have to own your own retirement like many of us are forced to do.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, more than likely, me and you won't see Social Security, and people younger than us probably won't see it either. So we got other issues that we got to deal with, but you can't keep putting these burdens on taxpayers to fix other people's problems. That's another reason why I got frustrated with the Dems when I left in 2010.
Yeah. The whole pensions and yeah, it's definitely tricky with teachers, and part of the reason there's such discourse in Chicago is because Brandon. Oh, I think it's Brandon. I think I said Brandon Adams, but I think it's Brandon Johnson is the mayor. He is a teacher, and so when it comes to like trying to slash any type of expense or any type of like city service or whatever, people always say, "Hey, can you look at the teacher's pension?" He is emphatically no. I am never going to cut the teachers pension or do anything that the teachers have to take a pay cut. He has never once swayed on that. That's probably the only promise he's actually kept though. But yeah, it's going to be tough with the teachers, and it's going to be tough with like police officers and firefighters, because I definitely see part of being a police, but the firefighters, I think that's can kind of people probably let that slide a little bit. But when it comes to being like a police officer, oh man, that's a tough one. I've
Look,
seen cities that are just crumbled because they don't have any police force, or even fire, or even EMTs or firefighters as well too.
yeah. Another thing, man, I don't think you should be able to receive anything in perpetuity. That includes the pension.
True.
If you want to continue on with these pensions, it needs to be set to expire after a certain amount of time, maybe 20 years, maybe 15 years, maybe 10. You can negotiate and work all of that stuff out. But when it comes to these pensions that people are talking about for the rest of my life at the
Mhm.
taxpayer expense, it's not fair. And it's not feasible to continue to do that either. Look, we got a lot of baby boomers that are coming up on. We got the boomers, and then we got that silent generation between the boomers and Gen X. A lot of them are pension eligible, and that's the largest segment of our population. So wait until we start to see the financial impacts of that.
Yes.
Like, this is going to get ugly before it gets pretty again, but we need to start looking at different ways to compensate people for retirement. Um, 401ks and 401(b)(3)s seem a lot more fair to me, and there's a lot more ownership that's involved with that. But what do I know?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough conversation. Another thing that she said when she said you need to start listening to people like Stephen A. Hell no. Stephen A will say everything that's probably like when it comes to like money and everything, he's talking about conservative. But when it comes to like the way he votes, you like, and he always has to say this, I voted blue, I voted for her, or whatever it is. Like, hell
Yeah,
no, Stephen A. You're the worst representation of what men should be listening to, or people in general should be listening to. Like, hey, sports takes, I mean, I enjoy the outbursts. Outside of that, nah, man, we ain't listening to you. Actually, this election cycle is a great uh you know um this election cycle was actually impactful, showing us that we don't listen to celebrities anymore. People with like these big platforms or anything, unless you're like a YouTuber or some type of content creator or whatever, nobody's listening to these Hollywood celebs or people TV personalities anymore.
yeah, and nor should they be. If I talk to somebody about anything of substance and they use a celebrity as their reference point, I just lose interest in the conversation. These people do not live the same lifestyles that we do, nor are any of them mentally stable. And I know a lot of that firsthand because I know some people that do security work in that industry. These ninjas is all crazy. And I don't know why we're following any of their leads.
Right.
Nah, I'm good.
The tape now. Because this Republican Party ain't playing.
Let me see if I can find
Let me ask you this.
Oh, there it is.
What about what they've said in terms of Black, particularly Black men and Latinos, supported him more than they have in the past? Why do you think that is? And what do you have to say to Black men and Latinos who were not in favor of supporting Kamala Harris?
Oh, honey. Oh, honey. When your favorite niece and your 13-year-old daughter is raped by your alcoholic brother or the next door neighbor, and she tries to abort that baby inside of her from a rape, you're going to regret that. They want to keep women in their place. It's so disgusting. I can't even put words to them voting.
All right.
It's really amazing to me. Here's that XX deflect that I've talked about previously. Just refuse to accept any type of accountability. It's just misogyny, sexism, racism.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we already dispelled the myth that less than 1% of deletions, excuse me, actually it's 3% when you include mother's wife in danger, rape, and incest. It's less than 3%. They were ready to crash out the whole entire country over this minuscule thing. And look, the fact that she's even sewing somebody's daughter getting raped by a drunk
She said
relative.
your favorite niece too. So I mean, forget all your other nieces.
It's almost like she wants to watch the world burn. She wants to watch the world burn just to say, "I told you so." That's the only reason.
Yep.
And a lot of women think like this. I'll burn this whole mofo down just so y'all can know that I was right. What sense does that make? And here's another thing. Let's go ahead and share this too, because I'm so tired of these single issue voters who irritate the hell out of me. Can you pull this map up real quick?
Yeah.
It's from the Guardian, which is a semi-centrist left-leaning publication.
Oh man.
But just bring up the United States map, and I'm going to show you that I don't think there's one state right now where deletion is outright banned. So you have options, even if you decide to go that route. I don't think you should, but if you go that route, look at all these states where it's either legal or it's banned after very least 6 weeks, at the most 18 weeks. I say all that to say, if that unfortunate situation does happen to you that she just brought out, you have options. It's not banned. It's not illegal. So again, why are you making something out of nothing here? This is why I'm probably going to sound a little misogynistic saying this, but I don't know too many women who are capable of leading men, because we see stuff like this.
Yes.
And it's like, no, I'm not going to be scared. Even if I was on the other side of this and I took a loss, I promise you I'll be sitting here saying, you know what, I'm going to stand tall and I'm going to do whatever I got to do until we can run it back and try again. But she just being a defeatist and making everybody else feel that way too. I'm done with that, man. No more victim stuff for me.
Oh man. So this is the thing that a lot of folks just I think women, when they hear this is their anthem. This is something that they could probably listen play over and over and over. Why would you even put that in the universe? Because I didn't vote the way you wanted me to vote. You are saying that somebody's brother, uncle, or whatever is gonna like do something terrible. This is why therapists are just raking in the money, because I guarantee you when they started seeing their patients, it probably started this year or probably started when Trump took office. Like, oh, tell me how you're feeling today. Well, since Trump took office, I'm feeling more, I feel more targeted. I feel like I'm in danger. I just saw a video about women are getting themselves sterilized because they're afraid that they won't have any abortion options or deletion options or reproductive rights. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you think that's the best move here? I mean, because we just have the map pulled up. You're going to be able to do it in most cases. And even in the extreme cases, you're still going to be able to do it. And for her to think that this is okay, and Stephen A. and I know Stephen A. is doing an interview and his job is to let her talk, but come on. This is blasphemy. This is not what's going on. And it upsets me when I see these people having these discussions because they make everyone else look like they're the bad guy. They make them look like they're insane, they're deranged. Like, this stuff exists. You guys are refusing to acknowledge it, or at least say, like, because of Roe v. Wade being overturned, now we have extreme abortion protections. But they don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to, like, hey, say, hey, I don't like Trump, but he did open a door for some of these states to have the type of abortion or deletion laws or policies that they have on the books. Like, they don't want to have that conversation. And she thinks this is the best way to get people convinced, just to keep fear mongering, keep doubling down on that, liberals, keep doubling down on that. We'll see how that looks in 2028.
Yeah, and look, even Utah, who many consider to be the most conservative state, 18 weeks. You have 18 weeks for deletion.
Yeah.
Now, Florida you get 6 weeks. You better figure it out in 6 weeks.
Yes.
But ultimately what I'm trying to say is, and even on that map we put up earlier, all those green states, you can do it all the way up until viability. But ultimately what I'm trying to say is it's not going anywhere.
Nope.
So stop making something out of nothing, man. This is getting ridiculous.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. If they don't have this to promote and push out there, then they have nothing else to talk about. It's like these race hustlers. And for this one, I mean, I would call it probably these deletion hustlers, because and this is what Kamala ran on, is these deletion, and everybody was like, well, this really isn't an issue. And we saw that play out in the voting as well too, where people were still Democrat, but they still voted for Trump. So for people to think that this is not or for people to still think this is a thing, honestly, I think it's probably a thing either on social media or on some of these TV programs. But when it comes to people, when they show up at the booth, they understand what's going on here. And so reproductive rights are not in danger or anything close to that.
Right. And I just one more thing I want to call out, that those states in red are where it's going to be the most difficult for you. But even Idaho has recently added a law that makes an exception for rape or incest. So we're going to start to see more of that too. So
yeah, in Ohio too, they're carving out exceptions for these certain situations. I told you when we voted here, I was not on board with pairing the two rare issues. I was not on board with that, because in my mind, you would not wait until the third trimester in a case of a unwanted situation, or if your life is in danger. Well, actually, unwanted situation. But if your life is in danger, that can happen any time during the trimester. So I'm like, yeah, I understand that. And I'm on record saying I would never sacrifice my wife in that situation. But for the other situation, I just don't think the third trimester, or they would let it get to the third trimester. I think it's more of a first trimester, maybe second trimester, but I don't think it needs to go beyond that. But I mean, the voters spoke. They put it on the books. The system, people decided what they wanted, and they voted. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that kind of wraps up this episode. Any last words?
No, I'm good, man. Thank y'all for rocking with us again. Leave your comments, subscribe, check out our social medias. TR is going to post those. But thank y'all for rocking with us again.
Hey, yeah, this was a fun one, especially reading the comments. You guys, you guys. I don't think I've ever been just some of the stuff that was said, but it was fun reading them and replying to them. And I try to like all of them as much as I can, even the ones that are hate. You get out of pocket though, you're gonna get blocked. So There we go.
Exactly.
Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.